So here I am in Denmark today, no less. It's a little bit chilly, that's why I've got some extra layers on, but I've just delivered a fun keynote to a renewable energy organisation, and they were looking at positioning themselves as a customer of choice, and which is quite unusual, I suppose, because here demand was outstripping supply. We also looked at collaboration. So a couple of the ideas that I shared with them, first off, is create an ensemble, not a hierarchy. So when they're recruiting internally, consider recruiting from a range of different backgrounds, different functions, different cultures. And then when looking externally as well, we should be looking at breaking down barriers so that external suppliers can have access to any level or any department. This kind of reduces the friction between organisations and makes them a lot more collaborative as well. Some other thoughts I shared with them is there an expectation for collaboration? Is there an expectation for collaboration both within the organisation, your own organisation? Is there an expectation for collaboration outside? So other suppliers you're aligning yourself with, are they going to be collaborating and bringing people in to the group so you can collaborate and extend your collaborative circle together? Another suggestion is brainstorming. Now, often brainstorming is cited as perhaps the most common collaborative process. So often it's done incorrectly. What happens is we bring teams together all in one big room, then one facilitator stands at the front of the room and all of the ideas gets pushed through them. Now, how often have you sat at the back of the room with this great idea which eventually gets shared by somebody else, but you haven't said it because the conversation has taken a different turn? This is traditional brainstorming. A far better way to brainstorm is to go away and individually think about the ideas and bring them together. No holds barred, everybody shares absolutely what they've exhausted on their list and written down. Some other thoughts and suggestions was, I lived in Japan for a few years, and one of the cultures there is something called nomikai. Nomi means to drink, nomikai, drinking culture. Now, Japan is perhaps one of the most hierarchical structures in organisations I've ever come across, but equally so, perhaps they're the most creative and collaborative. And why? Because of this nomikai drinking culture. It sits alongside their culture, but it allows people to let their hair down and talk and think more freely, come up with collaborative ideas, come up with creative solutions to problems within the organisation, which they may be a little bit fearful of mentioning in their organisation due to the hierarchy. And perhaps another suggestion I shared, which I think is extremely powerful, is do your colleagues, do your team know your company vision? Do they know your values? Do they know your mission statement? Do they know your pillars? And if not, why not? These are the very essence. It's who we are, who we stand for, who we are, what we stand for, very pillars of your organisation. And this, if you're able to communicate these with suppliers externally or customers externally, and you're wanting to align yourself with them, also consider their values, their mission statement, their pillars, because if you're able to do that, then you're able to help them succeed in a far different way than just the price. That way the relationships become far less transactional and far more cooperative and collaborative, and that way you succeed together. Finally, out of all of this, create a safe space for collaboration. If anybody comes up with an idea, it doesn't matter how silly or crazy or wild it is, treat it with the respect that it deserves and it's been delivered, and include that in a feedback loop. Nobody likes to give an idea, thought or suggestion it be lost in the ether. If it's just tracked as something, this is what's happening to it, this is where it's at. If somebody's thinking of changing the logo from red to blue, well, that's not going to happen, but at least acknowledge that's been acknowledged, that's been said, and acknowledge that something is happening with it. Whether it ends up happening and the colour gets changed or not is neither here nor there, but it's important to create that two-way feedback loop as well. So these are just some of the thoughts as part of a bigger keynote. We had a lot of fun, and we're here at Christmas time in Denmark. Everything looks lovely, and even in the hotels they have little candles lit for hygge, I think it is, which is this sense of coziness, and I certainly feel cozy here. Everyone's so welcoming, and I look forward to coming back to Denmark again to speak to either leaders or collaborators or salespeople. Hopefully see you again sometime. Thanks so much. Bye for now.